Marvel actors are carefully scrutinized before being selected by the studio and have to sign some of the strictest contracts in Hollywood. From excessive secrecy to exhausting press conferences, let's look at the outrageous rules actors have to follow in order to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel's control over their cast begins on the screen. Despite the success of Fox's edgy Deadpool films, Disney is adamant about keeping their Marvel movies appropriate for a wider audience. Since Disney wants to appeal to kids as well as adults in these big-budget superhero films, they have been particularly careful to tone down any violence. Another rule is providing good examples for children. Smoking, for example, is prohibited in any of the Disney films. One of Nick Fury's most iconic attributes from the comics, his gigantic cigar, was nixed by Disney in Samuel L. Jackson's portrayal of the grizzled veteran spy. Even though Disney is careful to aim their Marvel films at wider audiences, they have presented plenty of TV MA-rated content through Marvel Netflix shows, such as Daredevil and The Punisher. Even when actors step off of a Marvel set, they are expected to adhere to the Disney image. In addition to generally avoiding controversy, this can include visiting children's hospitals and similar acts of philanthropy. Scarlett Johansson has worked with charitable organizations such as USA Harvest and Oxfam, which feed people from impoverished third-world countries. She joined Mark Ruffalo and the natives of Standing Rock during their protests against the Dakota Access Pipeline, and even donated 2 Navajo-made solar trailers to provide shelter, heat, and power to the protesters during the winter months. Robert Downey Jr. is no stranger to philanthropic donations and hospital visits, but his most heartwarming act of charity to date was more personalized. For the Collective project and in character as Tony Stark, he delivered an Iron Man-inspired bionic arm to a young Avengers fan born with a partially developed right arm. In order to become an Avenger, MCU actors are required to complete demanding daily workouts and maintain a strict diet, specially formulated to mold them into a superhero physique. Most Marvel actors log around 2 hours of gym time a day and keep a diet consisting mainly of boiled chicken and dried oats. These requirements are taken very seriously, and actors are given warnings if they miss even a single workout.
You know, I'm a naturally competitive person, and honestly, I just wanted to achieve the look that I really needed to get for Killmonger.
Chris Hemsworth worked hard to transform into one of the most physically imposing Avengers, eating every 3 hours and sticking to old-school training such as pull-ups, rows, and squats. Robert Downey Jr. engaged in weightlifting while training for his transformation into Tony Stark, but found Wing Chun to be useful for building tone and endurance.
Half the stuff that I've been able to do right in my creative life are principles that I learned on the mat with my Sifu.
Chris Evans started with weightlifting to bulk up, and then began incorporating plyometrics and gymnastic exercises into his workouts for agility. Evans told Fitness and Power how intense these workouts got. "I was puking at the gym. They were brutal. Absolutely brutal."
A little bit of bicep porn.
Tom Holland routinely practiced gymnastics and boxing, but he also used a machine that relies on electronic muscle stimulation to improve muscle tone. After joining the MCU, actors have come to terms with the fact that they have absolutely no say in character choices or development. Marvel has shown throughout the Avengers franchise that many of these characters will be brought together as different stories intersect. This means that each actor is a small cog in a much larger machine, and has to follow the guidance of directors who know more about how the story evolves than they do. For big stars who are used to getting their way, this can be a very jarring experience. Edward Norton, who portrayed Bruce Banner in 2008's The Incredible Hulk, was rumored to have been replaced over creative differences, after the Oscar nominee met with studio president Kevin Feige and director Joss Whedon about bringing Bruce Banner to the first Avengers film. Marvel released a statement. The statement said, "Norton is not going to return due to the need for an actor who embodies the creativity and collaborative spirit of our other talented cast members." Whatever dispute Norton had with Whedon and Feige clearly could not be resolved, so Mark Ruffalo was cast as a new Bruce Banner soon after. Spoilers not only ruin a movie, but knowing how it all goes down might prevent a filmgoer from buying a ticket. So Marvel subjects its stars to rigorous procedures in order to avoid plot leaks. Even actors just under consideration for roles in the MCU must endure extreme secrecy to get a look at Marvel scripts.
Have you ever given away a spoiler?
No.
No? Well done.
Not even my own name.
Elizabeth Olsen disclosed some of these practices at the Seattle ACE Comic-Con, revealing that in order to even read a full script, actors had to turn in their cell phones before entering specially designed rooms. These script-reading rooms were windowless, and actors were only permitted to enter alone. They were also given only one chance to go into these rooms, so they had to finish the script in one sitting.
So we couldn't take our time at home or anything like that. They wouldn't give us a hard copy, so I just got my pages, and even my pages had a fake ending.
Olsen revealed at the convention that none of the actors had any inkling of the Infinity War plot until they were all piled into a van and given the full rundown. Many actors realized that they had been given fake script details after they began filming, as Marvel had placed various changes in each script so they could determine the origin of any potential leaks.
There were scenes in there that I thought we were shooting that nobody ever shot.
In fact, Tom Holland didn't even find out he was going to be turned into dust until moments before filming his demise. Although reshoots are commonplace on most sets, they're taken especially seriously by Marvel. Reshoots in the MCU are prevalent due to the complexities that emerge as several different storylines intersect, such as when heroes like Iron Man and Captain America come together for blockbusters like the Avengers films. In order to maintain continuity across the franchise, reshoots are often needed as the overarching plot evolves. As a part of their contract, all MCU actors are obligated to show up for reshoots, regardless of what project they might currently be working on. Idris Elba shed light on his own struggles with reshoots for Thor: The Dark World during an interview with The Telegraph, in which he recalled saying, "This is torture, man, I don't want to do this." But Elba's agent insisted, reminding him that it was part of the deal he agreed to. Elba's frustrations came from the fact that he had been called back for Thor reshoots while filming for Mandela: Long Walk to Freedom. After getting into the headspace for such a serious role, gluing on some fake hair to return to Asgard as Heimdall was apparently quite jarring for the actor. Although some actors prefer to do their own stunts, Disney contractually prohibits MCU actors from performing any stunts that have been deemed too hazardous by the higher-ups. Actors must adhere to these rules because they are practically irreplaceable to Marvel during filming, and any serious injuries could severely hinder the production process. This also allows Marvel to save money that would otherwise go to covering costly insurance for the actors. Some actors, such as Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth, have found ways around this rule and managed to push the limits on the types of stunts they could lawfully perform. As a younger and more recent addition to the Avengers team, Tom Holland has also discussed his experiences with doing his own stunts for Spider-Man: Homecoming. At the New York Film Festival premiere of The Lost City of Z, Holland stated, "I did as many of the stunts as I could, but there are some things legally that I couldn't do." Even though it's admirable that these actors are stepping up to the plate to do as many stunts as they are able to, Marvel is careful to leave the most dangerous stunts to the professionals. This way, they can ensure that no harm comes to their stars, many of whom might play important roles in several different upcoming films. Instead of signing up for a single movie or series at a time, Marvel actors must initially sign a contract that outlines exactly how many films they will appear in as a main character. However, unlike most contracts, this agreement also includes a clause that requires actors to appear in any other MCU movie while the contract is still active. This means a studio can choose to include a character in any Marvel film they want without actors having the option to decline these appearances. For example, if an actor is signed on for 4 films, then they are required to make any appearances that Marvel wants until the standing contract expires with the completion of production on the final film in the contract. Even if this appearance is just a 5-second cameo in a different superhero film, such as Captain America's appearance in Spider-Man: Homecoming, MCU actors are contractually obligated to show up. Another stringent rule that MCU actors have to follow is participating in all promotional press tours. An actor's attachment to any given Marvel movie is far from over once the cameras stop rolling. Not long after they take off their costumes, they begin packing for a traveling caravan of interviews. These tours are extensive and can leave actors exhausted and jet-lagged. Rather than focus on a single city or even country, the press tours are held all over the world to garner maximum exposure for the upcoming film. MCU actors could find themselves in China one night and Europe the next, struggling to plaster a smile on their faces despite sleep deprivation.
I'm sorry, I really don't. What are we doing?
Well, I'm just asking questions, that's all.
Right.
Okay, that's okay.
Bye.
Sometimes a promotion begins before production is even done, and actors may be required to attend major conventions between shooting hours. Not only are all MCU actors at the beck and call of Marvel for cameos or press tours, they must also be available to all Disney toy and video game manufacturers. Whether this means appearing at stores across the country to promote the latest Marvel products, or stepping in front of a green screen to capture facial features for the newest Avengers game, actors are contractually obligated to meet the needs of merchandisers. Actors working with Marvel must come to terms with the fact that they have basically sold their likenesses to Disney vendors. Although it may be a little unsettling for actors to hold tiny versions of themselves when they pick up an action figure, this is a non-negotiable part of the deal they agree to when joining the MCU. It is no surprise that Disney takes franchise merchandising so seriously, considering that Marvel consumer products bring in even more revenue than the films do. To put this into perspective, in 2011, Disney's consumer products division produced an income $618 million higher than the movies released by its film studio. One of the most steadfast rules that actors must follow once they become a part of the MCU is not appearing in any DC Extended Universe movies. As Chris Hemsworth revealed at the Australian 2017 Supernova Comic-Con, it is actually illegal for any Marvel actors to act in a DC movie. Once part of the Marvel team, actors are not allowed to cross-contaminate the two separate universes by accepting a role as a DC character. As Marvel and DC are direct competitors and engaged in a staunch corporate rivalry on the same scale as Starbucks versus Dunkin', this non-compete clause makes perfect sense. Marvel carefully selects stars who they believe will earn them millions in box office sales and merchandising, so it's natural that they would do everything they can to stop these painstakingly chosen actors from bringing the same huge income to their competition. The agreement seems beneficial for both comic entertainment industry kings, as having actors cross over from one universe to the other could muddy the waters for fans of both Marvel and DC. Since Marvel movies are generally pretty mild and don't contain graphic violence, nudity, or egregious profanity, they can appeal to a broad audience. Controversial actors may limit that crucial mainstream appeal, so Marvel would really prefer it if, off-screen, its actors behaved as if they were as upstanding as Captain America. Tom Von Lawler portrayed Ebony Maw in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Soon after being cast, he revealed that Marvel vetted him before signing him up, and apparently the studio has done the same to others. The actor said on Second Captains on Ireland's RTE Radio 1, "Marvel filmmakers in the US didn't know me. So when I went over there, they were meeting me for the first time. They do background checks to make sure you're not a white supremacist, and they're not hiring someone with weird baggage." Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more Luba videos about the Marvel Cinematic Universe are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.